watching plays and scores retold. In this podcast the game unfolds. Every try and tackle shared. Legends of the field, none compared. Echoes of cheers, the crowd gets loud. In this audio space, we feel so proud. Pass the word, let the speakers blast. Rugby tales from the present and past. Through the airwaves, our spirits cast. In this rugby love, forever vast.
So Moya, it's just me and you. Seems like it for now. Maybe the other guys will pop in.
Yeah.
So where do we start off? Which game do you want to discuss? Before we go there, please take note. I didn't watch the Pumas and the Griquas game, and I didn't watch the Bulls and the Stormers game.
Well, only one I missed. Okay, so I missed first half of the Pumas Griquas, and then I missed the British and Irish Lions game completely.
I missed that one as well. But what I saw of it, there's a big controversy about it. I think you saw it. Firstly, the just before they scored the try, the British and Irish Lions, the winning try, there was an incident where the Australian player had his hands on the ball and got cleaned out. And they said, no, there's no head contact there or whatever. But I saw that in a post of somebody else breaking down the law of what happened there. And I was flabbergasted hearing a thing about if he picked up the ball, it would have been a different call.
Right.
I was so wishing for Yichu to be here to explain to me what does that matter. If you have your hand on the ball, you are able to play that ball. Whether you're picking it up or it's still on the ground, you're still grasping it. What does the impact make with the shoulder coming into your head? Surely that can't make a difference. Is that a thing?
I wonder. Because, I don't know. Unless they're saying, for example, like, hey, if you've lifted the ball already, you can move. Like you didn't have to stay at that height, but also if you stay at that height, there's no way a defender can legally get to you. Like maybe it's something along those lines.
It can be, because like I said, I was flabbergasted to hear that and say, okay, so if he picked up the ball, it would have been a different call. But it was still the same tackle. And I mean, how when you get up from that position, surely it's going to be a second or 1.5 seconds before you can actually start moving. Because you have to back up now over the player that's in front of you. So it's not going to. Your first movement is going to go backwards to get more straight up, and then you're going to go either sideways or carry on forward, or you're going to pass the ball. So is your movement not locked in until you get the ball safely in your grasp? With that being said, not reaching over a player, still holding your own weight, but you know what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying, Moya.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah. I mean, I actually need an explainer for this. And look, my hope is, Nigel Owens will do a video on it and explain sort of, World Rugby's stance on it, because, I know that there've been a lot of things said back and forth. I mean, I read, was it either this morning or yesterday, David Campese was like, no, Australia should just stop complaining. I'm like, well, it's weird, for for an Australian to be saying, guys, don't complain about it, sort of thing. But especially where this seems like a valid thing to complain about.
Yeah, and that's something that could have shifted the game.
Oh,
If
absolutely.
that was a card, then maybe that try, and even that try, I want to get to the try, the winning try from Keenan as well. I don't know if you saw the clip about it. When he first went low, he took the tap,
Mm-hmm.
went in very low to
Yeah.
get the defenders to go low, and then all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden, next he goes over. He's like flying over. Now they say, okay, um, if he was in a position to place the ball, then it's legal. I mean, that guy was 2 meters, 2.5 meters away from the goal line.
Yeah.
Um, he was flying over, not reaching over a tackler. He was flying over them.
Hmm. But then you see that brings me back to remember the chat we had about how you can't hurdle over players.
Mm,
And
mm,
if I
mm.
remember right, like you actually asked the question about, what happens if you do that close to the line. And I guess the whole thing is like there, if you're showing that you're reaching to score, it's fair game, but you otherwise can't do that where you're like, okay, I'm doing this to continue my run.
Yeah, that was basically just going up in the air to go over the players. And when he almost landed, he still had to reach. So that tells me how far he was from the line.
Yeah.
Because if you just go over and you place the ball without really putting a stretch in, then I can say,
Hmm.
okay, you were close to the try line. But
Yeah.
in that case, he was going over the defenders and still
Hmm.
had to reach to place the ball.
Hmm. Gosh, well, one of my first thoughts on that as well is I wonder, because something like that, it seems like potentially a once off. However, there's a chance now that, like, it's like that the line out catch, excuse me, that the Springboks did. You now wonder if you're going to see more of that happening in games. So, like for
Australia
this,
did it.
yeah,
Australia did it
yeah, I
in
heard,
that game, but they messed it up. They
yeah,
messed it up good.
right. And that's the thing. So now I wonder, will players or will coaches be looking and being like, oh, actually, guys, you can do this dramatic, like jump over people to score your tries, and make that a tactic.
Yeah,
Um,
just with the line-out thing.
Especially,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I was thinking now, like even with that lineup thing, you can set up so nicely where, you have a pod of forwards, you do a cross kick, and you can make it a very high cross kick. Someone gets lifted, catches, brings it down, and you drive over. Especially because your cover defense is probably not going to be the biggest of people, and now you have three people driving against one.
Yeah, even if you can just make the try from the air towards the ground, like we saw with Boland,
Yeah,
that try one
yeah,
try of theirs. Yeah,
yeah.
by the weight of yourself, you can just gravity will pull you down. Just hope you
Mhm.
you, you end up in the try line area and not short.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but
it's I think interesting times ahead.
I do think New Zealand is going to do that line out moves.
Oh
Because
yeah,
the
yeah,
way
yeah,
Scott
yeah.
Robertson responded to Rassi's doing it, and he said, "Yeah, no, that has been done. We know about it.
Mm,
I've did it." So yeah, maybe that's going to be a thing. And now Australia tried it. It looked horrible. Didn't work at
yeah,
all. But definitely, I think New Zealand will pull it off. They will definitely
yeah.
pull it
Oh well,
off.
of course. I mean, if anyone can, it definitely will be them. But thinking about it as well, and I think Rassi mentioned it earlier today. It's look, you kind of have to feel for Australia because it was such a close game. But it being a close game tells us Australia are going to be no pushovers in the rugby championship.
Mm, mm.
Look, I suppose that the whole thing is where will their confidence be if they get whitewashed, which might I think here in this final game, they really need to step up and say, you know what, guys, we are, you know, we're going to make something special happen here. You know, like, look, 2-1 isn't great, but it's definitely better than 3-0. And thinking about it as well, so far, the only team that's beaten the British and Irish Lions on this tour has been Argentina, of all people. You know?
Yeah, and they're also in the championship.
Yeah. So, you know, I think it's that where it's going to be, it's going to be actually quite a tense championship, which is good. Like, you know, as I say, iron sharpens iron, and we really need that level of competition to be high. But what's scary about it is, as good as the Boks are, it takes a couple of bad games, and suddenly they could be, you know, bottom of the log.
Yeah, yeah. And I do feel, and I still feel that the British and Irish Lions is not going to make a whitewash. I think the third one, Australia will take it. If you take the first game,
Mm-hmm.
they were sloppy, but at times
Yeah.
they look dangerous. Then they totally um, went for a better performance,
Mm-hmm.
almost got the win, almost got the win. Yes, we can say now the call went against them, but they were in reach. They were in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
until the 79th minute. So I think with the next one, and with the injuries coming in for the British and Irish Lions,
Mm.
like Ringrose pulled out just before the game, the second one. So they have a couple of injuries. So
Yeah.
I do hope they will get one win out of it.
Yeah. Hopefully so. Because
Okay, Moya,
Mm.
do you want to take it to the Curry Cup?
Yeah.
Uh, I would like to say something that I mentioned on Binance Group.
Mm.
The Pumas and the Griquas,
Mm-hmm.
it's getting too repetitive now with the Pumas smashing Griquas, and they play too much each other. Yes,
Mm.
they play too little rugby
Mm-hmm.
in a season, but with the SA Cup thing also, it makes
Mm.
they play each other 4 times in 1 year.
Yes. Yes.
So
And I mean,
when one
and that's also because it's shorter. Like the Curry Cup is shorter. If it was like last season where it was home and away, you know, we would have five, like a minimum of five, the way this season has gone so far.
Exactly, Moya. So once you get the upper hand on on that team, you
Mm.
regularly play that team where either it's home or away, but you know their plays.
Yeah.
You're familiar with them. So once
Mm.
you get the step up, then you will keep there. So that was I was so hoping that Griquas will just break that voodoo and just get one back, because it's like 5 games I think that they've lost to the Griquas in the
Yeah.
last couple of games.
I think what doesn't help the Greek cause, though, is that they've also lost players to the Pumas. And, you know, when you
That as
have the
well.
same, so you have the same coach, you have most of the same players, but now there's people who've jumped ship who can literally read your plays because they were doing those exact plays a few weeks ago. You know, yeah, it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle. But I will say one thing that frustrated me with the Greek is really they could have actually won that game. Discipline was just nowhere. You know, there were a few cards that were a bit, you know, like, oh, are we sure we want to give that yellow card? But really, it was just there was just such a lack of discipline. And the problem is as well, they got on the wrong side of the ref, and they weren't giving the ref a positive picture. You know, coaches always talk about like, yeah, you know, present a positive picture to the ref, present a picture to the ref that will have, you know, that won't get the ref going after you. Unfortunately, there were passages of play where the Greek was actually just were their own worst enemies. Um, you know, yeah, really, if they fix their discipline, they're going to be really dangerous. And you know that's the weirdness for me is that the gap between the gap in the score doesn't do the Greek justice. I think that the Griquas are definitely more in it than that. So that makes me very interested to see how things go, for example, when the Griquas play Boland, especially because the Griquas will be at home for that. But also what happens now where, Pumas play the Cheetahs. And we'll get to that as well when we discuss Boland versus the Cheetahs, because wow, but
That was a shocker.
yeah, but I think that the Pumas will be happy, with the job well done. But it was strange. Much as they were doing good things, you also got that feel of like, actually, you know what? This is a Pumas team who should still lose to, currently, I would say, who should still lose to the Lions and the Bulls. Maybe a few more teams we'll see, but those two teams should beat the Pumas, from what I saw.
Yeah. But like you said now, discipline, and maybe that's a trend now with the Griquas. It's like they're too desperate to get the win and then make silly mistakes. Because if you check the other 5 games, um, there was also cards. There was also discipline. Maybe if they played in Kimberley, I don't think it would have
Maybe.
made a difference. Because with the other game, even at home, they mess up with the discipline.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? I guess this, and this is going to not sound great, and I do somewhat apologize for it, but it, there'll be some players there where, you get the feeling people will look at them and say, like, hey, this is why a bigger union hasn't, tried to get you out of your contract. Is like, yes, you're good, but, if you are a liability in terms of cards, it is a problem. It is a massive problem, especially where, I mean, at one point, Griquas were down to 13. Thankfully,
Yeah.
by the time they got another card, like, someone else was back. But there was a time where they were close to being down to 12. And you're like, guys, how? The secret is then clear. All you have to do for the Griquas is put them under defensive pressure. And when they're defending, for long stretches, they're going to concede multiple penalties, and, they're going to give away cards. It's that simple. So, if you just push them a little bit, expect a few cards, and, when they concede those cards, make sure you score and keep the pressure on them, and they will keep conceding.
Yeah, that's a bad label to have behind your name. That's a bad label to have.
Yeah. And also, the worry is refs will also start looking, because if they're like, oh, well, look, the Griquas are known for, hemorrhaging penalties when they're defending. Refs will be looking for that, and any slight infringement, like, I mean, look, there's tons of times where people will be offside of the ruck or that type of thing, but if now the opposition is also in the ref's ear being like, hey, but these guys are always offside at the ruck, and now the ref is actively looking for it, they're going to keep getting penalized.
Yeah. But then a player like John Ray Rudolph, when he went to the Bulls, a lot of cheaters said, yeah, he can go because he cost us too many cards. But then what I heard was he had a monster game for the Bulls
Oh,
and
he was
didn't
massive.
concede one card.
Yeah. Although I think it bears mentioning, the Bulls didn't have to defend much. Like, yes, there were times where they did defend, um, but they had more possession than not, and I think that's part of what helped Jean-Jay Rudolph there. Where I want to see Jean-Jay Rudolph is where, he's having to try turn over the ball a lot, and also where he's having to tackle a lot. If he can do that and come through unscathed, then I think we're fine. Then we can say like, cool. You know what? The change of environment been really good for him. But I mean, look, already the change of environment seems to be doing well for him. But the Bulls had the ascendancy, and that really helped him shine the way he can shine.
So what you're telling me, like I said, Moya, I didn't watch that game between the Bulls and the Stormers. Yeah. Was it the fact of like the Bulls outplayed the Stormers with regarding keeping ball possession, stopping them off the ball, or was it just a lack of the attack and building up faces from the Stormers?
It was a bit of both, because the Bulls really like they did what they needed to do, and they did it well. But second half they did dip a little, and that's something that has been haunting the Bulls for how many seasons now, where either second half or close to the end of the game they tend to dip a bit. And what was or what I saw in there as well was when Province changed their fly half to Tristan Lates, their attack sparked more, and suddenly it's just the back line was moving better, and they made more inroads, and that's how they ended up scoring some of the points that they scored in the second half. But I will say, it's strange to me because Western Province had 2 warm-up games, the Bulls had 0. You would have thought it was the other way around with the way the teams played.
Yeah. The same with the Lions. Also, no warm-up game.
Yeah.
And that paid off for us, luckily.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, when you're saying games that have been played so much with the Pumas and Griquas, instantly I thought like that was something that has been said about Bulls and Province / Bulls Stormers, because there's so many times like even in URC where it was like, okay, home and away, and then they played in the first final. And it's like, okay, you have Curry Cup, home and away, they're there. And then if they meet in the playoffs, it's there again. And it's just like, it's the one game that you can expect to see multiple times every year. But yeah, I will say there at least it tends to, to flip-flop a bit more. So the question would be like, with the way the provinces have started, what will they do this week? Like Devalt Duvanaga, who I think is their backline coach for the Curry Cup, he's been saying now, like, guys, we learned very important lessons, and this, like, the game against the Lions won't be like how we played against the Bulls.
Yeah, that's a difficult statement to make, because if you take the Bulls and you take the Lions, there's 2 different teams as well. But quick, one thing I wanted to ask you, Moya. Tristan Lights, is that not the younger brother of Dylan Lights?
It is, yes. Well, he is, I
Oh,
should say, yes.
okay, he is. And then another thing I want to quickly jump when you mention now the Bulls and the Stormers playing each other too many times. Why do we get in URC this new fixtures that we play the Bulls 2 weeks, we play the Sharks after that 2 weeks, but the Stormers games are divided. We play them in the start of the fixtures and then close to the end of the fixtures. Why do we need to play the Bulls 2 weeks in a row and to play the Sharks 2 weeks in a row? Why did they do that?
I mean, I suppose because they like to do the like derby weeks and that sort of thing. But I think also because I think there's one fixture where we've asked for, or 1 or 2, I think around Christmas, where we've asked, like, actually, can we just move those? So it kind of ends up being back to back because, we slotted into what would ordinarily be a rest week.
Now give us two against the Stormers back to back. Let's start with the
Yeah,
Bulls and
yeah.
then end with the Bulls, but mix it up a bit. Play two
Mm.
against the Stormers 1 week after the other, and then the Sharks, take the Sharks in the beginning and the end, and do the Bulls and the
Yeah,
Stormers.
exactly. Because it's a set pattern that they've done, and I don't know why that is the pattern.
And that's what cost us. I think
Mm.
that's what cost us last season. That hammered us. To play the Bulls 2 weeks in a row, and
Mm-hmm.
then the Sharks 2 weeks in a row. That I think
Yeah,
that hurt us because
yeah.
of that.
And the thing is as well, it's like it tends to not be great for confidence if those games don't go well. And the problem is we've been struggling with our local derbies, and till we get that right, well, consistently right, we can be doing well, and then suddenly that's where everyone starts to say, "Oh yeah, well the wheels are coming off. Look, they've now lost." Like suddenly it's like, "Oh, we're on a winning streak. Oh, we've lost two in a row. Oh, we've lost four in a row now." And suddenly things start to look very shaky. Whereas if you have those split up, it might be different. But I guess the one of the morals of the story is, we wouldn't worry if we were winning those local derbies. And that's the
Exactly.
point we need to get to, is where winning those local derbies, I think, has been what has sunk us, actually. Because yeah, there's some games against European opposition where we should win but we won't, or we don't. But we know the refs can be iffy, especially if you go up north. We know conditions and that vary so widely that it's sometimes even more difficult to win up north. But we know the conditions in South Africa. We should be able to win, particularly our home games, against local opposition.
Yeah, and do those double games not before we have to go and take another tour to
Yes,
play
yes, yes.
Glasgow and those guys. No, man.
Mm.
They must think of us, make it easier for us because we're struggling.
Yeah, no, exactly, exactly. Yeah, but,
Yeah,
look,
Moy.
I think someday they'll switch it up a bit.
I'm burning to speak about the Lions game. Moya, I'm
Yeah.
burning to speak. I'm so proud of the guys.
Mm. Same
They
here.
did show up. First Curry Cup game. Yes, I know a lot of people saying now this is a young Shark team. Yes, it's a young Shark team. Yes, they could also have played some URC players in like we did.
Mm.
That was their choice not to do it.
Mm.
Uh, they backed those guys, and it was also our first Curry Cup game with no warm up games, so it wasn't easier on us. Uh, it was still a mixed team. I mean, like guys coming in, Davis coming in, is his first game for the Lions.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
we had a lot of that and new combinations and stuff. And I
Hmm.
think the guys can be proud. We yes, we did well, and I'm glad
Yeah.
to see that Steenkamp.
Yes.
He showed now
On his Curry
why he's
Cup
at the
debut
level.
for us, which made me happy. Yeah, yeah.
Because in URC we spoke about him. It looks like
Mm.
he doesn't put the effort in and stuff. But man, did he play?
Mm.
He showed, yeah, I'm here to play for the Lions. I'm not here to
Exactly.
just wear the jersey. I'm here to play.
Yeah.
Um, and that's a good thing. But what I quickly want to ask you,
Mm.
wasn't it so weird? How many times did we see on the left wing? You
Hmm.
saw Jaco Versaghi almost
Hmm.
becoming a center. He makes the
Mm.
line trade. Then
Hmm.
he have a Raps there on wing,
Hmm.
and then an extra wing, Jared Kearns. We used
Yes.
to
Yes.
in URC have Frankie as an extra wing there. Now we
Hmm.
had Jared Kearns there, and man, that
Yeah.
was flawless. The running between those three
Mm.
was great. And Dobela, Nico Stein, especially Nico Stein and Rasmus Swane, those two were in sync.
That
Those
that
two were
cross
in
kick
sync.
by Nico
Yeah,
Stain was great, especially because what I loved about that one, he shut the commentator up instantly, because like the one commentator was like, "Oh, like a very strange decision there," and instantly try, you know.
yeah. I thought he was going out. I thought that ball was out.
Yeah.
And then I saw Ruff getting the try. So what did I miss? And on the replay, I said, what the hell? He snatched that ball from that defense. Man. Like, that guy also thought this ball is going to go out.
Exactly.
Nobody's going to catch the... And
Yeah.
just before that, Nico Steyn tried, but he missed. Slightly.
Yes.
Slightly.
Slightly. But also when Angelo Davids made his break, Nico Steyn was on his right, and I think if he had given the ball to Nico Steyn, Steyn might have been able to go over as well.
Yeah. Yeah, just Davis had an awesome game. Like I said,
Yeah.
all of them. All of them. The scrums, I have nothing bad to say about the scrums. The lineouts look good. Every set piece look good. And I think that's where we stopped the Sharks.
Yes.
When we had the ball, we looked like we knew what we want to do with the ball. It was not that standing, getting the ball and looking around, who should I pass to? There was intent, and we wanted to make the tempo, keep the tempo high. And man, it paid off.
Yeah.
Man, it paid off.
And what makes me happy as well is like, look, I know people are saying like, oh yeah, we had URC guys in, but it's like, guys, these are not our URC starters, for one. It's like, yes, they have some URC experience, but these are guys who, part of why they're playing here is because, we didn't play them that much, or they're coming back from injury, that type of thing. Also, if you look at the ages of the guys, these are grizzled young veterans. And our coach even mentioned that, where it's like, guys, let's remember, Nico Steyn is 22. Let's remember, like SJ Kotze and RF Skuman also are like 22, 23. Like these, like a lot of these players are actually really young. We've used them in URC now because we don't have, how many Springboks and keep buying top players from another URC union. Right? Like the Sharks have. We don't have, how many guys in their 30s or that, are being brought back from overseas like the Bulls are doing. We don't have, how many people who, just won't leave the Western Cape, and also if given the opportunity to come to the Western Cape, will come to the Western Cape like the Stormers do. And on top of that, they still, like, it freaks me out where it's like, the Stormers have an overabundance of players in the back three, and still they'll get someone like Ben Loader. Like, yes, he brings a lot of experience, etc. But I'm like, guys, wings and fullbacks are not in short supply in the Western Cape. There's so many quality wings and fullbacks, but they're like, no. But the Stormers do have a history of doing that, where they'll be like, cool, we're going to bring a center from the Pacific Islands, we're going to bring a wing from the Pacific Islands, we're going to bring a person from here, so it's that. But I think this is where the Lions system works. And look, I know it's one game, and everyone's like, Lions shouldn't get ahead of themselves. It was undercooked Sharks side, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, yeah, sure. But this is a very positive start. Now, of course, the big thing is the team needs to, keep this going. Yes, there's going to be some rotation. I think we know that because there kind of has to be. There's guys who we just have not seen, who we really do need to see and figure out who belongs and who doesn't. And also we'll filter in our URC starting guys as we get closer to the URC. But wow, I look at what we pulled off there, and I will say this: the one thing that made me sad was we didn't keep them at 0. I was so hoping we would, much as I missed most of the game, I literally only got home for the last 4 minutes. But like on my way back, when I heard they had scored a try, I was like, you know what, that's unfortunate. But still, here's one thing that that I appreciated, and then I'll speak about another thing I appreciated as well. Thing number one: when the Sharks scored that try, the happiness that that the players showed. it wasn't, it wasn't like, yeah, look, we're how many points down. That there was genuine joy there, you know. And sometimes that's what you need to galvanize a team. I know, the thing is, you shouldn't be doing backflips in that, like you've just won a World Cup, when you're that many points down. But I think sometimes it's lost where people like won't show any joy, even when like they're starting what could be a comeback. Because the thing is, like, you need to keep your spirits up as best you can. Second
I
thing
mean,
that got me. Hmm?
Moya, for 68 minutes you got grind, and
Yeah.
you get points on the board. Just go for it. Celebrate,
Yeah.
celebrate, celebrate.
Mm.
Because you were outplayed, but you got one in. You got one in. Yes, it was
Exactly.
not. And I'm not a Volatil fan,
Mm.
and I'm not blaming Volatil for that one.
Mm.
Um, it was that 50-50 situation. If he
Yes,
was
because like
one
between him and
second,
Lombard, it just
yes, it was so close. It was not his mistake.
Mm.
Like I said, if he started running 1 second before, he would have had that ball, and there was no try. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's margins. That's margins. That's not bad skill. That is not to blame the guy and not
Mhm.
to blame Lombard and him and say, listen, decide who's going to go for the ball because you guys are now going over each other to get the ball, and then there's a try being scored. What's going on? No, it's not like that for me. It's like desperate defense from Giovanni Lombard and Kate Wallater. And I have nothing bad to say about it. It is what it is, and that's what happened. Small
Yeah.
margin, small margin.
And rather it happened in the first game when we ended up winning 46-5 than it happens in a game where like that was the crucial try, or
Exactly, exactly.
yeah. Also, it's fantastic where we secured the bonus point in the first half. That was good.
And we kept
Mm.
playing. Well, we kept
Mm.
playing. Um,
Yeah.
After those, if you check the stats, I think in the
Mm.
last 20 minutes we made 12 points.
Nice.
Um, so that's good stats. It showed like we're
Absolutely.
playing for 80 minutes. Even with that score advantage, we
Mm.
could have just said, okay, the game is won, guys. Just let's get the clock by. They got to
Yeah.
try now. Maybe they're going to get one or two more, but they're not going to catch us. But they're not going to get a bonus point. We said
Mm.
no. You got that one. Let's put another up on the table for you guys.
Yeah, exactly. And that was kind of point number two. Two and 2.1. Because I'll start with 2.1. I felt so bad for Landsberg because it was his birthday and he was so close to that try at the end. And it would have been just the perfect way to cap off the game. Is like, hey, you know what? The birthday boy scores after the hooter. It would have been great. But I really appreciate it as well that both teams were like, hey, let's keep playing. Neither of us are going to just kick the ball out, because both teams had opportunities to kick the ball out and be like, yeah, we're done with this game. It's like, no, let's play. Let's get the business done. But just before the end, one of the Sharks players picked up a cramp, and Darian Landsberg went and actually helped him stretch the cramp till med staff got to
Yes,
him, and then
yes,
Landsberg went. That I mean,
yes.
I really appreciate that. I'm like, that is such a show of the spirit of the game, especially where, look, whatever happened from that point wouldn't have changed the complexion of the game. Like, even if the Sharks had scored, I wouldn't have been like, you were out of position. Hey, at that point, it would have been 14 versus 14 because they have a man down, our man's assisting. But he saw a fellow player in need, and he was like, you know what, I'm going to help here.
In that regard, what kind of wasn't good for me was when Isan Estraisen got hurt.
Oh,
It was Nico Stein going over, and who was the other guy? It was only two Lions that went to him before they put him on a stretcher.
yeah,
Who was
yeah.
the other one? It was Nico Stein and who else? That went and checked on Isan.
Mm,
And
mm.
that felt for me a bit weird. why didn't the whole team just go and say, "Listen, you did well"? Because he played a massive game.
Oh yeah,
He did
absolutely,
play.
absolutely.
Roots played he was a monster. That one clean out, I think he
Mm,
was going to break that guy.
mm.
Um, and let's not forget Pullman. That run of his.
Yeah. Although no, but that run was actually Kotze, because Kotze
Was
was
it Foster?
17. Yeah, like the
Oh,
commentator called him Pullman, but I was like, hang on, Pullman was 18. And yeah, it was
okay.
Kotze who was 17. And I mean, dude, Kotze's got some pace on him. He really does.
Because I went to the bathroom, and
Mm,
everything was loud, and I just
mm,
heard Pullman, 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 and I hear
mm.
the commentary say, he's running like ox. So
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
that was Pullman. He made meters. He made meters.
Mm. But a beautiful thing there is like we have a very mobile front row, and I think that was nice. Where like both sets of front rows are actually quite mobile, and that helps with the game that we want to play. So it's that way, like if they keep their set piece work up and they're able to be mobile the way they are, it means literally from 1 to 15 we have people who can like have even if it's a short burst of pace, just enough to get that line break in that. Because where where I can say we are lacking, for lack of a better word, is we don't have a battering ram 12, you know but at the same time I
Yeah.
think we need to play in a way where we don't need one, because hey, we have how many other players who can serve as that. Like if you need to put forwards there, cool, but also you have someone like Jonker who
He
you know
was massive, Moya. He was
yeah,
massive. Jonker
exactly,
was,
exactly. And he's got this ability of, he's not a full battering ram, but he runs at the weak shoulders, and that's how he gets the line breaks. He won't bulldoze someone. He's not like a tackle buster in the traditional sense, but you know he will still get past his man, and that's what we need.
and even Russ. We didn't saw Russ really gaining running meters, but his
Mm,
defense was massive. Manuel
mm-hmm.
Ruff was on the fence. He was solid,
Yes,
and I think
no,
that's
that's it.
also a good thing. Our defense was excellent.
Yeah.
At times I thought, "Oh, we're going to slip this one out. These guys are coming at us hard," and then we
Well,
turnover, or is this, or is that.
I mean that
There was
that
too much
first few
pressure on
minutes.
them.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
first few
yeah.
minutes had me concerned. Because like what I did was Sunday afternoon before the Bulland versus Cheetahs game. I was like, okay, I've got some time. Let me watch the game in full. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Even knowing the result, I was sweating in that first 10 minutes, because I was like, no, 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 no. Sharks really were knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, no, we did good. We did good. Quickly, before we go to the Cheetahs and the Boland game, Moya, what's your prediction against the province? I'm gonna
Look,
go with small margin.
yeah,
I don't want to get
same.
too ahead of myself because now the Stormers are hurt.
Mm,
The Bulls didn't do them well, so
yeah,
they will come back. Luckily, it's another home game for us, so
yes.
maybe yeah. I'm going with Lions by 6. I'm stretching it to 6.
Mm. No, I'm going with Lions by 5. I really do think look, Province are going to come out all guns blazing, and so obviously the hope is that we can replicate our performance from this past Saturday. That really is the hope, but I don't think we can expect Province you know to not have learned from their mistakes. Because I think what's different as well is that with the Sharks game, right? Both us and the Sharks didn't have warm up games. At least I don't think the Sharks had warm up games. So both teams were going in cold. Here we're in game number 2. Province will be in game number 4 because they had 2 warm up games.
Mm.
And also they've tested more combinations than we have. So now where I'm pretty sure we're going to see Tristan Lade start. Considering he got the back line firing more, we need to be up for that. I'm not sure if, for example, if they bring in a Paul de Villiers or someone at 6, one criticism that I have of us, despite us playing well, was we weren't protecting the ball very well. And that's something that's been haunting us. We need to protect the ball better because, Province have multiple people who will be going for turnovers. And they're also so good at being able to just turn over and suddenly, you're chasing shadows. So, we need to really be prepped for that.
And Dobela's kicking. I hope he's going to be on. We can't miss. We had Nico Stein, we had Gianni Lombard that could take over the kicking, but the general kicking, a lot of his kicks, he didn't find touch.
Yes.
In general play, he just kicked up towards the wingers or the fly up or the 15 of the Sharks. And that Kunene, he liked kicking onto Kunene. So I
Yeah.
do
And
hope
Konene
that
is a
he
very
gets
dangerous man to kick onto.
exactly, Moya. Luckily, it worked for us. Um, that they didn't score from those counterattacks. But I'm hoping that he finds his line. Once we're in our 22, make sure that ball crosses that line. Get it out. Let's go for a line out. Don't just
Yeah.
kick it onto another player. Keep that ball in field. Because that's tiring everybody. But another thing, we looked good. We looked in shape. We didn't look very tired with all the rugby that we played.
Yes, this is. Yeah, well, which is good. And, again, I think that's where you need, the guys who haven't had as much game time coming in. Because I think if we had used our URC guys, we probably would have been like, something's not looking right here because guys would be still kind of exhausted. Like, I'm happy the URC guys have now, started preparing for the URC. But yeah, I think now's the time for the Curry Cup guys to shine. And, looking at the squad in general, we've got a very, very solid squad, I feel. It's now just a matter of making sure everyone does what they're supposed to. And thinking about it as well, like we still have someone who's got some experience, like Sebastian Lombard, who's a prop. I think we got him from the Bulls. We still need to see him. Yeah, Schlobam, I think played all right. We'll see if we get him to start at some point as well. But yeah, I think generally everyone looked like they belonged, and that's really really great for me. The hope is now that we can keep it consistent.
Yeah, speaking of inconsistency, the cheetah game. Yeah, with those stats. Moya, the second one I sent halftime.
Mm,
I was reading between the lines. Like, listen, you're starved of possession, right?
mm,
So the few times, the 30% that you have the ball, you couldn't even put up 5+ phases. The cheetahs
mm,
had zero 5+ phases, meaning either you lose the ball or the ball get turned over.
yeah.
And that's scary. If you play without the ball and you get that little scraps, you have to make
Mm,
that little scraps count. You can't kick those balls away. You can't lose
absolutely.
those balls. You can't get turned over
Mm,
on those balls. And that's where the Cheetahs were lacking. The urgency wasn't there.
yeah.
Boland came to play. Boland and that last try
Mm,
was so damn inspiring.
sure.
I enjoyed that thoroughly. I wonder
Yeah.
how many spaces was it before the second time that they kicked for the line.
Mm,
I think that was 30 plus, if it wasn't more than that, because I went
yeah.
up from the half line
Mm,
into the 22 face after face, and I was sitting there and thinking, "Oh gosh, you guys are going to lose this ball." Some of the passes
mm,
looked like it is not going to go to hand, and then they managed to get those balls and make something of it and gain meters, and it struck me like this: we're witnessing something special now. We're
yes.
witnessing a team that wants to win, and they're going to win.
Oh yeah.
And when I
Oh
went
yeah.
for that last kick for the sideline, I said, okay, now this must be it. And when they dot that down, I
Mm.
was celebrating like I'm a Boland supporter.
No, but I mean, as you said, it was such an inspiring passage of play. And really, like, it's. I will say what I appreciated as well was that the Cheetahs pretty much didn't wilt. They also were like, no, guys, we have to try hang on. But yeah, Bulland did some of the right things. And now here's a big problem. And the problem, weirdly enough, has two sides to it. Side number one, Cheetahs were talking about, yeah, we need to be in international competition. Like, it would be great if we could go back into Super Rugby. This. That, considering that was essentially a full strength Cheetah side, yeah,
They're gonna get smashed with that
yeah,
type of performance. They're gonna get smashed.
right. Now here's the thing: it's one game, sure, but with the same sort of squad, the Cheetahs also failed to make the final of the SA Cup.
And they
And
also
sure,
got beat by Boland in that
uh-huh,
FA Cup.
uh-huh.
Also, they
Yep,
got beat by Boland.
yep. So it is that where, look, new coach or coaches, so there are some adjustments to be made, and I think, they will, like, for instance, I think we play them next Saturday. No, 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 no. We have Boland next Sunday, and then it's the 16th where I think Saturday the 16th we've got, uh, we've got the Cheetahs. Look, this is thing number two, right? Uh, Boland have expressed that they have kind of this long-term ambition to build to be quite powerful, and they're like, yeah, we want a URC spot, like kick out one of the teams, like we want in, sort of thing. Well, look, maybe they didn't say kick out one of the teams, but the implication, or like, the undertone is like, yeah, listen, we'll fight you for a place in URC. And they have good financial backing because they now have a similar financial backing to the Bulls. Um, and what's interesting is when you look at the players that they have, Ashland Davids, right? James Tedder, guys who played for the Lions. And in fairness, these were guys that, like with Ashland Davids, I feel he played well for us and that type of thing. But it got
But
to a
wait,
point where we're like, okay, yeah. But also, I think the problem is he was playing behind two people probably in each position, you know. But now looking at him, it's like, well, it is a bit of a case of what could have been. Uh, James Diller, similar sort of thing where it's like, okay, look, you know what? I think we're fine in 15, we're fine at 10. Those are where James Diller plays. But good on both of them for really putting their hands up. And what's nice is that there's a blend of former club players who are, like Louis Greta was supposed to be there, but I think he got ill or injured, right? They have actually quite a solid squad for the Curry Cup. They would need, I would say, they need some supplementation for URC, but this is a squad where, when we look at how the Griffins came up, and then we're just getting beaten left, right, and center, except for beating the Bulls.
and the
And
cheetah.
then yeah, oh, see, it's always the Cheetahs getting beaten, what I mean, by these new teams. And it's weird because the Cheetahs should be more used to these guys because they play them in the SA Cup, right? But
hmm
yeah, but you just feel like Bulland are really going to make a big push for it. I will say this: if the Cheetahs had made fewer errors, like Cheetahs actually technically had no business losing that. As good as Boland played, it was also the Cheetahs did not play well. So now I'm looking and I'm like, well, hey, the big unions, and oddly enough, Cheetahs played them in Wellington. We're playing them in Wellington. I think the Bulls are also playing them in Wellington. And possibly the Pumas as well. So they're taking, all the sort of like high felt and bit of low felt teams and playing them there, where it's going to be, we saw how many players were going down with cramp because the field was heavier than, than in Plum. We need to be prepped for that.
Definitely. But what scares me of Boland, Moya, is we can't get much to of a read of them yet.
Yeah.
What I meant by that is the Cheetahs in the 40th minute already conceded 6 penalties against them in 14 minutes. But inside the second half, only 8. So only from that 14th minute up to I think it was the 50th or something minute, they only had 2 penalties going against them. But then the Boland was staggering that penalties up and up and up. But then you get that never say die attitude. And that's going to be a message for all the teams. If you are not within 2 scoring times away in front of Boland, you're not going to win that game. You can't settle back. If you're 8 points in front or you're 7 points in front, you better watch yourself because they're ready to go to the 19th minute. And
Exactly.
they will
Like keep
do the same
scoreboard
stuff like
ticking
this.
over.
Yes. So I think we all should take note of that. All the unions must take note of that. These guys, when they put their mind to it, they can switch on and keep the ball in hand and get the job done. So you have to stress them. You have to stress them. If you're not like 14 or 15 points in front, that last 10 minutes, you better watch yourself because they prepare to take it in the last 10 minutes.
But one thing that gets me, and I'm just thinking about it as well. It links very nicely to what you just mentioned. So, Boland, for all the by halftime, Cheetahs had conceded 8 penalties. And there was that scary stat where, for both teams actually, because Boland, even though they were ahead, had made 13 tackles and missed 23. Meanwhile, the Cheetahs had made 46 and missed 68. And now, even with that, right? But even with that, like you had mentioned about like being 2 scores ahead, the score was only 27-14 to Boland. So now you think about it, it's where like, considering they had, what was it? 8 visits to the Cheetahs 22, 61% territory and 64% possession. You would think that, they would be doing better than, a 13-point lead.
Yeah, that's the point that you're making there. Yeah.
So, that in a way also tells us a bit of a story. Is like, I think here it was 2 teams, and it's again no offense to them, but it's a difficult one to call because it's 2 teams who were quite scrappy. What will happen to Boland if they come up against a team who is clinical?
Like the Bulls, a team that's quite the opposite of the Cheetahs that will play you with their forward. They will grind you and tire you from there and have the option to switch to go to the back line.
Exactly. Yeah. That's going to make things very, very interesting, I feel.
Yeah, that's why I say I want to see more of Boland. We can't really go by this one game. Because the SA Cup, I've never watched those games. So this was the first time that I see the new revival of Boland. in a Curry Cup again since how many years?
Yeah.
Boland was out of Curry Cup. So that was the first for me to see. And like you say, it's difficult to rate them with a sloppy performance by the Cheetahs, because we know the Cheetahs can do better what they did. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's difficult to check. But once they play bigger unions, like they're gonna play the Lions and they're gonna play the Bulls,
Mm.
especially the Bulls,
Yeah.
because it's gonna be
Sure.
counter type of rugby. The Bulls
Mm.
will try to make it slower, be more physical with the forwards, and that's gonna
Mm.
disrupt a bit Boland's type of rugby. When they play us, we're more the same alike. We don't want to get too involved with the forwards. We want to
Mm.
make the game fast. We want to keep it fast. Um,
Yeah.
but I think the big one for me will be decided if I see what Boland does to the Blue Bulls. Well, how do
Yes.
they cope with that onslaught?
Yes. Because if they can hold their own, or even if they can get a win there, just know that they have, then I want to say like they have really put themselves up there to say, hey, listen, we are contenders for this Curry Cup, and that, I mean that would be. Oh, that would actually be scary in a lot of ways, especially where, like, again, they didn't make the SA Cup final. Yes, they won the first division and they got promoted, but yeah, for them to show they belong, I think that's where they need to contend with the Bulls. And I'll say, like, look, with us, our style of play is such that like intercept tries and things are something that can happen. So they might be able to hang in there with us as well.
Yeah, but let's see. Maybe when once they play the Bulls, they can also switch it up and turn to the forwards and show Big E
Yes.
dominance with their forwards as well. Maybe they're going
Yeah.
to surprise us. We
Well,
have to
especially
see.
because I think two of their forwards, Tobias and Van der Westhuizen, so they're 2 and 3, played for the Bulls a few seasons back. So yeah, I think it's that way. If they can front up to that Bulls pack, then they're definitely in business. Because they can play all sorts.
Days. Let's not put them in a fourth place or something at the end of the season already. They have to earn it. They have to show what they can
True.
do. Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, what they did for the first run, it was not bad. It was especially that last 9 minutes. Yes, that was
Mm.
impressive.
Yeah.
I can talk for hours about that, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. One quick one was just the whole sponsorship thing, because it seems like there's. I mean, I'm not sure if it's a delay or if it's not a delay, because news outlets were making it sound like, oh yeah, the Lions have pretty much secured this one deal, and now it's like, oh no, places are still kind of on holiday and things, so Lions are in talks with what, 6 international companies to take over the sponsorship, and it should be announced by the time it's URC. So the hope is that things are close to being finalized, but I know a lot of people were instantly like, management are useless. They're sleeping again. They're this. I'm like, well, look, guys, if you go into like a lot of these international companies actually take this summer break seriously. So we can't necessarily fault management for that. But also, what was nice was like we've now finally announced Burger King as one of our associate sponsors, because they've been on the website for about a month. As listed as an associate sponsor, and if I'm honest, I actually missed their logo on the shorts. It was only once the announcement was made, and then they were like, they showed a picture of some of the players at the first game, and I was like, oh, all right, yeah, they were already on the short. So, you know, that that's good. At least we've got an associate sponsor there, and my hope is that it will, also give some good specials in that for the fans.
Yeah, but let's not forget stuff like this sponsorship. It's like corporate, um, and everything's gonna be behind closed doors. It's not like the type of thing that we also always say. There's no transparency with the Lions. We're the last ones to know. This is going to be hush hush. Because you can't go on social media now and say, listen, we've been approached by this six companies and we're seeing this CEO on Monday, 10 o'clock, and then we will see this CEO there. Because on their side, they don't want to make their plans open to everybody until pen is to paper and everything is finalized. Then they will go and say, listen, this is what's going on. So, so the thing that Australia is maybe not stressing, maybe it's good news on the way. There is a couple of big names that needs to put pen to paper.
Well, because that was the thing, right? It was like a month or so ago. One of the news outlets was saying, like, if the Lions secure this, or like one of the deals that they have on the table will be the biggest of all the URC teams. So it's like, okay, the hope is that is the one that we ultimately get. But yeah, I think, as long as we get something solid, obviously we'll be happy. But it'll be so great if it's something where, it sparks a sort of positive turnaround. I think back to when we first got Emirates on board, right? We had that season where we came back to Super Rugby. There was no title sponsor, and then we got Emirates on, and things really did turn around. You could like, sure, the team was turning around anyway, but like it just, like suddenly it was like, okay, you know what? There's a more upbeat feel to the Lions. So hopefully whoever the new sponsor is, we can have a really fruitful relationship with them.
And I have a quick one. Then we can end this, Moya. It's going to be a quick one. You saw that post of the guy off TikTok, that Burns guy saying, "Yeah, to revive Curry Cup, we need to play in one stadium." I saw you disagree to that, and me as well. I disagree with that because, say for instance, now I'm a Shark supporter. I'm gonna go only to the Kings Park game. I'm not gonna drive to Loftus. I'm not gonna drive to Ellis Park. I'm not gonna drive to Wellington. I mean, what stress is that? So I'm still just gonna watch the game if that day is on Kings Park. The same thing with Ellis Park. There's hardly people going there now. So to
Yeah,
play
like
the
will they fill it up if there's a full day of things?
Exactly, Moya. Even with the Springboks now, we see a decline in the tickets. So
Yeah.
how is a Curry Cup Sharks team and Boland team and Cheetahs team gonna make people go there?
Well, exactly, especially because to my mind, if you're going to be having it as like a festival of rugby, and that you cannot give it to Lions, Bulls, Sharks, Stormers. They already have how much rugby. You'd need to say, okay, you know what? We're going to do it at Mbombela Stadium. We're going to do it in Kimberley. We're going to do it, hell, even in Bloom, perhaps. You know, and we're going to also do it in Wellington. Those would be the four places where you'd need to do it. But then the question is, will you have enough people going through for the day? I mean, look, maybe you will. Because the places are so starved of like mainstream rugby. But at the same time, 8 hours of rugby is a lot to commit to. If you don't do it in school holidays, there's school sports to contend with as well. And, parents are not going to be like, hey, listen, when the game's done, just wait at school. I'll pick you up at like after dark on a Saturday. Like I'm going for the rugby day or that type of thing. Like you're going to be, rather supporting your family, and then maybe you come through later. Uh, but really, like 8 hours, think if you're starting at noon, for example, you're going till 8.
Exactly. Who's gonna go to Ellis Park when there's a 7 o'clock game? The last game is 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
It's already dangerous. People are not going to watch it. If you start
exactly.
early at 1 o'clock, some of the people on a Saturday work till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, so they're not going to
Exactly.
watch that game.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's too much. Maybe over a 2 day, if you take a Saturday and a Sunday, maybe
sure,
that
sure.
way, yeah. But on
But then
one day, it's not going to work.
exactly. And look, maybe that's the way to do it. Is like do it over 2 days, and you can say like like they do with the sevens, like you can buy a 1 day ticket, or if you go for both days, it'll be cheaper than if you go like if you buy single like two singles. Um, but yeah, I I still think for example, if you do it on a Sunday, like fine, you can have a 2 o'clock game and a 4 p.m. game, or like 2 and 5. Uh, Hopefully, people go, but again, I think you'd need to do it in the places that aren't currently getting like Springbok games and that, so that you are actually kind of taking it to those communities and being like, hey, here's a lot of rugby for you. You have this opportunity.
Yeah, on Sundays, rugby still has to. We still have to get used to that because Sunday rugby is not the same thing. Guys want to
Yeah.
brag and you want to drink and you want to do this and that. On a Sunday, you can't do that. So a lot of people don't even watch the rugby at home
Yeah.
on a
Yeah.
Sunday. Even the midweek
Exactly.
game. If you have a
Mm.
Wednesday game, who's gonna watch it? Because you get home from work tired. Either you have to
Yeah.
rush because the game starts 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock,
Yes.
and you have kids that's going to school tomorrow, so you're not gonna watch that game.
Mm.
Midweek and Sundays, we still have to get used to that, and I think it's gonna be a long time until we're gonna be satisfied with okay, there's a game on Sunday. Because when I watch
Yeah.
the fixtures, I watch out and I see okay, like for instance, Poland. Why do we
Mm.
play them on a Sunday? We could
Yeah.
have played them on a Saturday. It's like that, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people complaining about that. Why do we play on a Sunday? We can just get everything done on a Saturday. Because
Mm.
most people don't watch all the games. You have
Yeah,
your
that's true.
favorite that you're gonna watch. So you can have two games overtwining with each other, starting the same time, or maybe one you can start say 2 o'clock, the other one starts 3 o'clock. Other
Mm.
game starts 5 o'clock, other 7 o'clock. Because we used to, or your main game in Curry Cup used to be your 7 o'clock game.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
That's how we grew up. That's the main game will be 7 o'clock.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's it. You can go 3-5-7.
yeah, with one game, say for the instance, like the Cheetahs and a Boland game, it's not one of the bigger unions. So fit them in the same day, different
Mm.
channel on Supersport, and just put it in there in the Saturday. Don't put it over to the Sunday, because yeah, you lose people. It's just Boland
Yeah.
with those people turning up because they start for rugby. They only watch club rugby, so
Yes.
to see other teams coming there, real Curry Cup teams, yes, they start. They will come out in numbers, but
Mm.
do that for 4 or 5 years. Let them get used to it. Then on a Sunday you won't see. Guys want to watch cricket on a Sunday, not rugby.
Yeah. Exactly, exactly. And I mean, I'll give the example now. I'm going to be a bit stuck this Sunday because there's wrestling on, right? And I don't think I'll be able to, like I won't be able to watch the wrestling in the morning, which means I have to watch it in the afternoon. If I'm watching in the afternoon, probably not going to catch Griquas versus Boerland, you know?
Yeah, and
Uh,
it's SummerSlam. It's going to be a 3 hour, 4 hour.
exactly, exactly. So that becomes a thing now where it's also like, well, you have to, yeah, you have to make plans, but also like there's times as well where like you end up negotiating for the TV and that as well. Now, if you're like, oh, I've had how much rugby to watch on the Saturday, and now also on the Sunday, it's like, yeah, there's more rugby. Hold on, it can make things a bit tricky.
Yeah. Okay, Moya, we went a bit over time. A short bit over time. But yeah, can we wrap this now up, or is it anything you want to discuss? So,
No. I think I'm good.
okay. Then I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
leave you to stop the recording. You just go and you click on it, and then I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
download it from my side. I want to see if I can download it on my side. I'm
Yeah.
sure I will be able to because we both have the same privileges.
Yeah. All good. All good.
Okay. Moya, enjoy your night,
Thank you.
and
You too.
then we speak soon.
Indeed.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.